Well, welcome everyone. It's good to be here with you for our final round of this session of OMG Tuesdays, which we've named Life Together, as we're looking through the book of Acts. For those who I don't know well, I'm Pamela Rayment. I'm part of the clergy team here, and I'm excited to explore a little bit of Acts chapter 17, verses 22 to 34. So let's start off by just reading this together. All right. So Paul took his stand in the open space at the Areopagus and laid it out for them. It is plain to see that you Athenians take your religion seriously. When I arrived here the other day, I was fascinated with all the shrines I came across. And then I found one inscribed to the god nobody knows. I'm here to introduce you to this god, so you can worship intelligently, know who you're dealing with. The God who made the world and everything in it, this master of sky and land, doesn't live in custom-made shrines or need the human race to run errands for him, as if he couldn't take care of himself. He makes the creatures don't make him. Starting from scratch, he made the entire human race and made the earth hospitable with plenty of time and space for living, so we could seek after God and not just grope around in the dark, but actually find him. He doesn't play hide and seek with us. He's not remote. He's near. We live and move in him, can't get away from him. One of your poets said it well. We're the God created. Well, if we are the God created, it doesn't make a lot of sense to think we could hire a sculptor to chisel a god out of stone for us, does it? At the phrase, raising him from the dead, the listeners split. Some laughed at him and walked off making jokes. Others said, let's do this again. We want to hear more. But that was it for the day, and Paul left. There were still others, it turned out, who were convinced then and there and stuck with Paul. Among them, Dionysus and Dionysus the Areopagite and a woman named Damaris. All right, I even had it spelled out phonetically, and I knew I would trip up over those. So thank you for bearing with me. So Paul is out in the world at this point. He's sharing the faith with people who are not Jewish, known as the Gentiles. And he is in Athens, and he is speaking to leaders of the Council of Areopagus and others who have gathered. He observes that they're spiritual people, and he uses this as common ground to begin to share the message of Jesus. Now, this is Paul engaging in testimony or evangelism. Now, I think that both of these words are rather loaded in the Anglican tradition. So let's look at these words a little bit more. One way to define evangelism is cooperating with the Holy Spirit by speaking words and engaging in action that helps people see something of Jesus' love. Say that again. One way to define evangelism in the Christian context is cooperating with the Holy Spirit by speaking words and engaging in action that helps people see something of Jesus' love. I want us to notice where the emphasis rests. It rests in the person of Jesus. It's about sharing the good news of Jesus in word and action and introducing others to Jesus. Now, testimony is similar, but it's often a little bit more personal. When we speak about our own experiences of learning to follow Jesus with others in an effort to reveal something of Jesus' love to them. Now, both can take place in formal ways. It could be a program offered by the church, but it can also happen in casual conversation with others in any sort of situation that we find ourselves in. Recently, some work has been done across the diocese, so across the Anglican churches in the GTA and area, and it's revealed that many people struggle with talking about their faith with others. Maybe you can relate. I think the world needs to know something of Jesus' love just as much now as ever it did. And the complexities of our lives and the spaces that we find ourselves in can sometimes leave us scratching our heads as how to do this. And that's why I appreciate this passage in Acts. So Paul connects with those he finds himself with in a way that might spark interest from those around him. He shares how God has come close to us, referring to Jesus, not just for some, but for all. And there is an openness or a hospitableness in the language that he uses, and it keeps the door open for conversation. And some, they do receive what he says. There are those that we see are willing to listen some more. There are others who decide to become followers of Jesus right then and there, and some laugh and make fun of him. I think this helps to show us that the end result isn't up to us. So it's really about that cooperating with the Holy Spirit and sharing. Now, to be sure, this can be where things fall off the rails a little bit when we insist that the end result look a certain way or sound a certain way. It can shut down conversation and get in the way of the Holy Spirit. Another thing that can happen is when the intention of sharing the faith is rooted in something other than sharing Jesus' love. And unfortunately, we've seen this happen in history. And given that we're in the month of June, I can think of two examples. The colonization of Indigenous people and the horrible treatment of members of the LGBTQ2S plus community. But when we are truly cooperating with the Holy Spirit at work, when we're sharing our faith, when we're sharing the good news, it's incredible. And unique expressions of Jesus' love in the world are birthed. So, together, we can learn more about how we can engage in this cooperation with the Holy Spirit. encouraging one another and sharing with one another our own testimony, our own experiences of learning to follow Jesus. And when we do that with one another, we get to practice what it would be like to share that out in the world. And we do this in an effort to reveal of something of Jesus' love to others. My hope is that through looking a little bit more closely at this passage and thinking back on some of the other lessons and readings that we've heard as we've journeyed through Acts, that we might be more able to respond to the sharing of our faith beyond the walls or virtual walls of our shared spaces of the church, and share the good news that God has come near in Jesus and longs for us to share Christ's love for all of creation in all that we say and that we do.